Today, I am going to be creating a spring look with a light lilac eye. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then please keep watching. All right, so for today, I am going to be using this palette, and I'm actually using a couple of different lilac colors. This one right here, as well as this here, and then kind of warming it up here. One look that I really think is pretty is when you've got this beautiful wash of lilac, and it looks, you know, it's all just that one color. But on me, again, I don't like that edge. So what I'm going to do is actually just tweak that look a little bit and do the lilac on the lid, and then marry the transition shade the way I normally like to do that. So I'll show you that here. So let me get started. Let's start with the eye primer as usual. And I thought this would be a fun look to start kicking off the spring season. I absolutely love spring. That's my favorite season. And unfortunately, it seems like it's the shortest one. So, all right. And so I am starting off with this color here. And it's got more of a cooler tone. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that with my finger. And one thing I like about this look is it's very matte. And here I am going to grab this one and this one. These two here. And just start warming up that crease. So to deepen the transition shade, I am going to take this one and this one, these two colors. And this will kind of marry both the top here as well as the purple lid. And I'm just going into the crease here and deepening that and just blending it slightly with the other transition shade, but I'm not going as high. Now, I am going to brighten up just right there on the lid. And I'm going to use the soft matte that I originally used. But even though this is a relatively light color, it still isn't that light on for me. So I am just going to add this here and then just kind of blend it so it looks like it's just kind of lit from within. And that way, when I do the rest of my eye, that part is still very open. So then what I like with this look is just to take a black eyeshadow and line it to about midway. There. And then I am going to take my liquid liner and just get really, really close to the lash line here and over like that. Now today, what I'm going to do is curl my lashes and then add mascara. Let me curl those, and I like to get really close to the lashes. And that way my lashes look their longest. And then I like to just take a spoolie and kind of get them combed out. This is kind of why I have started wearing the false lashes so much more, is I tend to get way too persnickety when I do my lashes with mascara and trying to keep them from without clumping and all that. So it seems to be a lot easier for me to just slap the false ones on. But I do think it's sometimes you want more of a natural look. So now I just added on the voluminous kind of a primer for your mascara, and you really want to just tap it on. Don't think too much about it. Don't worry about clumps or anything like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is just run this through my brows real quickly. And then I am using the Lash Sensational Maybelline. And I just got some mascara on my lid. So what I'm going to do is let it dry and then just kind of whisk it away with a spoolie. And so I use the tip of the wand more than anything, and just kind of, dab on the product and then just try to comb and separate the lashes a bit. And then do, 2 or 3 coats. And that seems to be the best technique for my lashes. Now, another thing I like to do is also tight line, because sometimes when I curl my lashes, you can see my upper lid a little bit. So it's good to go in and just darken that up a bit. Yeah. And now that the mascara is dry, I just go in with this and scrape it away. You can also do that with lash glue. If you get lash glue anywhere, that's actually rubber, so I don't even think you really need to wait for that to dry. You just can whisk that away as well with a spoolie. So let me go ahead and get the other eye done, and I will be right back. Okay, I am back. So now I am going to move on to the under eyes and the contouring process. Now, another thing that I did want to point out that I like to do, I don't use makeup wipes like to clean up any fallout. I might just take a clean towel, soft towel, and just kind of brush it off and remove it that way, just because I don't want the product that's in the makeup wipes to be sitting on my face, as well as, I do have my eye creams and my sun protection and everything on like that. So I really do want to be careful when getting rid of any fallout, to try not to wipe away all of that stuff as well. So I just kind of thought I'd bring that up. The next thing I'm going to do is start on my concealing. And lately I have been adding a little bit more to my concealing step. And I'm trying to figure out ways of doing it a little bit more swiftly. And this is a great way because I basically took my concealer and everything that's on that doe foot, I swipe onto the back of my hand, and that is enough to get my whole face. So I start here, and I kind of like to do it with my finger as I go so it doesn't start setting up too much. But as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, what I'm wanting to do is focus on highlighting like a heart. So I'm doing this area, carrying that down the nose. Another thing, okay, so here's my chin. This whole area is kind of sagging a little bit, and I've got the RBF. So what I want to do, keeping this line in mind, is lining is brightening up this area. And I'm just going to tap this part into place and then use the product that I got from that. And trying to get this brightened up and hopefully to add a little bit more of a lift in that area. Okay. And I'm playing. I'm not, I'm still experimenting with stuff, seeing if this is something to add to my routine, if it's working, and some stuff sticks and some stuff I end up forgetting about and not going in that direction. Okay, another thing, keeping this heart shape, is I'm going to kind of brighten up around my nose, the redness around my nose, as well as these lines. And another thing that kind of gets a bad rap is when they talk about YouTubers doing the big triangle. And as you can see, when I'm doing my concealing under my eyes, I'm placing it in the same spots, right here where that trough line is, and then here to brighten up this shadow and then to hide my bag. I'm not putting the product all the way up to my eye. I'm keeping that down. But by concealing this area, it's falling along that heart and it's brightening this up, as well as the side of your nose. And that's a great little trick, is to extend the white part so it looks like it's actually this part of your face and not your nose. And that actually will help make your nose look thinner. So and as I mentioned before in some of my other videos, by applying it along here, it's kind of emphasizing my cheekbones a little bit more. And see how I kind of go right up on the side of that nose, down to kind of cut the redness around my nose. Down here. And then kind of to a point here with my chin. I had my chin just right there. If I do all around my chin like I've done, it's making my chin look wider. So you kind of want to focus just there. If you want your chin to look, you know, you want it to be highlighted, but just a little bit. Unless you want a wider chin. And then you can add more, but all right. And I am, like I said, really kind of playing with the sides of my mouth. I'm not quite there yet. Just trying out some techniques. Okay. And I still have more concealer, so I'll keep that there in case I need it. But now I'm going to go and move on to my foundation. Now with my foundation, I'm going to do a different kind of application here. And I'm just putting a little bit here on my hand. And I am taking a different brush. I'm taking this brush rather than my my more fluffier brush. And rather than just patting it in, what I'm doing is just going and placing it in the areas that I want it. And again, I'm sticking closer to the inside of my face, okay? Where I need coverage, which is mostly on the inside. And I'm just blending with the concealer. I'm not really going over it. I just want it to kind of blend into place. And then areas that I don't need coverage, like around here, I'm just kind of leaving it alone. Even up here, I might do the center of my forehead, but I can leave the surrounding areas, you know, it's fine that way. Now, the reason I'm doing that, one of two reasons. First of all, that's going to be the areas that I'm going to be contouring. And if you're one who still needs, you know, foundation in those areas, might I recommend using a color that might be a little bit darker so that you can actually use that to contour as well. And so it's just one layer. I'm trying to minimize the amount of layers that you put on your face. And so we've got the concealer on the most part in this area. And then now I'm taking the foundation and finishing up all the areas pretty much in the center that need more coverage. And then I'll move on to contouring. But you just really want to blend. And another thing that I do is I'm not one who takes the makeup on down my neck, my foundation. I may take my contour, but I really don't, you know, match everything all the way down. I don't like the feel of having makeup and then it's rubbing against my clothes and everything else. So, but also if you think about it, I haven't added makeup here. So if my makeup didn't match, it's not here so where you see that demarcation line. So that's just another added thing to think about, because you really always want to make sure that either your foundation is spot on or it's blended, you know, seamlessly. Or like I say, I don't have it up all the way to here. And it is then not even an issue. All right. So next I am going to go with the contour. Okay, so I'm just doing that on the side. And I go to about there, where my nose starts to, you know, the end, and it's starting to go down. I don't want any dark there. Where I do want to shadow is right there in those little, whatever you want to call it, dents or... So I'm deepening up that shadow right there, but I want this part not covered. And then what I'm going to do is right here is where my nose starts to widen. So I'm going to just start shading that part down. Okay. And then what I'll do is then take my concealer brush that has just barely any concealer on it, and then just brush it up like this and patting. And then tapping it with my finger. Going along my nose. And then I am actually brightening up the area right under those two areas that I darkened. Okay. All right. Then I take my butter bronzer. Deposit most of the color there. About an inch or two. Okay. And then I take this point right here and just start blending it forward. Right along the hollow, the underside of my cheekbone. And now I turn it and then just blend it in a little bit there. Okay, same thing. So again, when you're thinking about the heart, it's going like this. You're not bringing the shadow in more than that. You're keeping it on the outside there. Now, another thing I see people do, and what it's doing is they'll add concealer right here. And so that way you're really seeing that definition a little bit more here. But it's light, so it's going to make this area more pronounced. So just keep that in mind if you want to do that. I really don't want this area. I mean, it's bright enough, and I do go in and clean it up with my foundation brush, but I'm not really going to add too much more highlight there because I don't really necessarily want this area wider or bigger looking. So then I take this, avoiding this area. As you get older, right here in the temple, this starts actually sinking in and starting to hollow. So I want to avoid that. I mean, it's already creating a shadow on its own. I don't need to emphasize that. So what I'm going to do is just go up above it and then sweep into the hairline a bit. And I use powder. A lot of people prefer using a cream contour. So if you're more comfortable with that, then great, use it. You know, I'm used to powder, and so I'm just sticking with that. But so there we go on that. Now I'm going to add the blush, and I am actually going to go with I'm matching this color here, which is a rusty-ish color with my lips. So I am going to stick with that for my blush and go with a tone. Hold on, let me see. A color like this. It's almost like a brick color. And I am just going to go right above the contour like that and just kind of pounce on the color. I think that is the easiest way to blend on your brush. Now, I used to go like this and this with my blush on my forehead. I think that there's enough concealer, and then I've got things highlighted. I used to go down my nose with this, and that gives you a real sun-kissed look. It makes you look like you've been out in the sun. You've got it on here, you've got it here. So I do like that look, but if I'm going through all of the measures of trying to contour my face in a way, you don't want to do that then. You kind of want to keep the areas that you've defined to be bright, and then the other parts darker, if that makes any sense. Okay. And now I am adding my highlighter, and this is just going on the high points. So I'm just going like a little bit on the bridge of my nose just to catch the light, and then on the tip. Okay. And then I am going to go right here. Right here. And then right here. You can go right there on your Cupid's bow if you want. And you could even do your chin if you want. I really don't. Now, oops, I forgot to contour my jawline. Now, another thing I kind of wanted to point out is, so if you're going along your heart shape, you know that I had kind of concealed more, or concealed more here, brightening it up. This area right here falls outside of that heart shape. So, and also that's where you want to definitely I definitely want to sharpen. So I always kind of go underneath, you know, this way, so that it's applying the shadow right there. And you could go up a little bit there, and that is not going to be bad, as long as you just don't see this weird brown line. You definitely want to blend. And then up around this. The sharper you want this to look, you definitely then want to add the contour in this area. Because then if this area is a little bit darker and more shaded, this area is what's going to stand out. And that's where you see some women, you know, they really highlight that part. I think that's enough. And then I will put my powder on and stuff. And that is enough to kind of, basically that's sharpening your jaw. And then go along here, and then maybe down your neck like this, just so that it all blends. And you have to, you know, experiment and play. Make sure that you're blending everything smooth enough, and you've got the right tones going on. Because when you're, you know, experimenting with things, it's fun, but you got to make sure that it's coming out right. A couple other places to highlight is right there, right there on the inner corner. Okay. And then I really keep my under eyes simple. I just go in with my my bronze eyeliner and just kind of go along the waterline and then pat a little bit here. And that's another thing. You really want to just experiment and see what works for you and what doesn't. I know I've mentioned many times I got to be careful not to add too much darkness under my eyes. Otherwise, it really closes it up. And then I just tap with my flat eyeliner brush, whatever is left on there, little amount there, just right in the corner to give that a little bit of definition. All right, and then let me just go ahead and clean and blend the edges. And right here is where I kind of make sure I didn't go too low with the contour. And the bad thing about contouring your nose is you spend all that time and then it takes is one swipe and it's done. But so yeah, I do that, and then I go in with my powder, and I first set my under eyes, and I like to go in and press and get any makeup that might have settled into those lines out of there. And then set your concealer, get it in there, and then sweep off the excess. And then I just go through the areas that I have lightened and just blend away right there on my chin, right there. And that way, hopefully I've softened everything. Your contour, your concealer, and your highlight. Because one thing that always looks bad is when you see the swipe of your highlight. I mean, that just, I don't like the way that look. I mean, that just doesn't look good. So you want to make sure that everything's blended and seamless. And by doing those added steps, I feel like I've done pretty good. So now for the mouth. Like I said, I'm still working on the contours. Another little trick that I recommend is that contour maybe one at a time. Like you see, especially if you're, you know, using a cream, they'll put it here, they'll put it everywhere they want it. Well, sometimes it's under here. Right here is a great place to highlight. So that your lower lip looks heavier. But unless you're working on that area, you might actually forget it. So you might be walking around with a little brown stripe here, or your, you know, you're underneath your jawline, you've got these weird brown stripes that you've totally forgot. I am going to do this. I'll tell you about the other ones. I have not mastered this, but some will actually put shadow right along the top of their mouth. And what that does is that it almost makes your mouth look bigger like this. I don't see that working for me. It looks like I have a little Fu Manchu. So I'm going to not do that. And secondly, I am not as concerned about making my lips look bigger. What I'd like to do is try to minimize this going on. And another thing that I've seen them do is actually add a little bit of a shadow right here. Again, I am not sure about that. I'm not sure about any of the contouring. The only thing I'm trying to do is keep this area bright. And what I can do is manipulate how I do my lips. So what I'm going to do is take my lip liner. I don't know if you've seen my other videos where I've shown how I totally bypass this area, okay? So what I'm going to do is do that, and I'm actually also going to overline right here a bit. So it's right in the area where I just added that little bit of shadow. So I'm overlining. You guys can't see that, I bet. This is a darker color. Here we go. So I am overlining it right there, and then going in, okay? overlining. I'm overlining on all the way there and then going in. Okay. And with me, that makes my upper lip look really big or bigger, especially if I overline the whole thing. But what I'm wanting to do is kind of curl up the mouth so it's up a little bit. Now, the problem is my lower lip, it goes in right there. So let me line it the natural. So you see how it goes in right there. I tried overlining it, thinking I could match the upper lip. Unfortunately, that did not work. When I smiled, my lower lip just looked huge and it looked weird. So I can overline, but not extremely, kind of to match that top. And I can overline on the bottom because that curls under and you don't see it anyways. Okay. So then what I will do, and even though this is a darker liner than I was expecting to use, I can still use it with what I'm planning on using it, what I was planning on using, which is this color, which is kind of a, like I say, I kind of wanted to match this color. So I'm going to go ahead and cut. Okay. Actually, no, never mind. I'm actually going to use this one. Okay, so this is the one I wanted to use. And this one has a little bit of that. This color here is what I'm kind of aiming for, but with my blush, almost like a, not terracotta, but kind of a brick terracotta color. And so then I'm going to fill it in. And I highly recommend wearing the long-lasting if you're going to be going through all of this hassle. All right. And then I just top it off with something a little bit more light and reflective, highlighty. Right here. Right here. And you know how they do the Cupid's bow with their highlighter? Sometimes I'll just dab along here. Just a little bit. So hopefully this helped minimize it a little bit. This part. Now, I can still see everything, but it does seem to be a little bit more minimized. Another real super easy trick is just leave your mouth slightly open. So when my mouth is closed, you can see it doing that. If I just leave it slightly open, it's a little bit less. I mean, I don't know. So you can play with your makeup and try things out. If I come across any other techniques that I think are really working, I will let you guys know. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.